Hi, everyone. This is the March 15th Jupyter IPython regular weekly dev meeting. And let's get started. I think Matthias is up first.
Sure. So nothing fancy this week. I'm mostly working on newsletter-related stuff. Created a no-reply@jupyter.org email. So now we can receive email at jupyter.org. If anyone wants their name at jupyter.org, just ask me or Kyle. We can set that up. Still working on hiring with Fernando and a bit of dev meeting organization. And this week I will be at Jupyter Day in Boston. I hope to see anyone who is listening around to say hi. Hope it will be great. And that's about it for me. Nothing else, not a lot of coding. And the next person is Chris, but I think he cannot speak. So he said that he didn't work directly on Jupyter Labs this week. So we'll probably directly go to Darian.
Hi. So this past week, Dave and I continued our work on IPyWidgets and removing the jQuery and Bootstrap dependencies of almost everything except Slider. Slider still uses jQuery UI. In particular, one of the things that I worked on was a new drop-down widget because the old drop-down was completely just the Bootstrap drop-down. So it basically had to be completely rewritten.
Did we lose only Darian, or did we lose everybody?
I think we lost Darian.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah, yes, you're back.
Okay, cool. In addition
we lost maybe 20 seconds. We maybe lost 20 seconds.
Oh, I see. Okay, so basically, there's a new drop-down widget that is custom JavaScript instead of using the Bootstrap one. And also, there are a bunch of styles meant to replace some of the things that Bootstrap was giving us, but not everything. That requires a larger look. But things that were like Bootstrap specific stylings, like button primary, button danger, that sort of thing, have semantic names like mod whatever, mod active, mod primary, mod danger, and they have at least rudimentary styles in there so that you can see them being behaviorally showing up the way they ought to be, but we can make style decisions about what they should be going forward, because anytime you take Bootstrap out of something, it's going to have massive effects. Anyway, that is ongoing, and Dave will have more to say about it. But I think that's it for me.
Thanks, Darren. Yeah, my update is largely the same as Darren's. Continued on the IPyWidgets PR. Darren did a whole load of work on the drop-down stuff. That was not an easy task. The outstanding thing is on me. I need to rebase the entire lot in order to make it easier for Silva and Jason and John to review it. As soon as that's done, I think we're in a position to start merging it in once all their comments have been addressed. Other than that, I'm working on non-Jupyter items this week, so yeah, I'll finish there. I think it's Thomas next.
So over the weekend, Min and I were at PyData Amsterdam, which was a lot of fun. Plenty of interesting people there and things. And we gave a joint talk on multi-language support in the notebook, which was well received. We finished off with previews of new features or upcoming features. In particular, Min demoed Jupyter Lab, such as it is, from Leading Edge Master, as we love to do our demonstrations. And I demonstrated the prompt toolkit work. And for both of those things, we got a spontaneous round of applause. So there was definitely a receptive audience there. And yeah, the other thing is that last week I helped out at a workshop, sort of helping teachers get to grips with MicroPython programming for the BBC Microbit, which is this little single board computer that's going to be sent out to all sort of 11-year-old school children in the UK in a few weeks' time. So that's, and I know Nicholas and Fernando worked a bit on integrating that with a Jupyter kernel that you could use it from the notebook. And I have got the code for that too. I've yet to dive into it, but I'm going to have a look and see how well that works.
So do you know if the notebook demo that Nicholas was trying to work on is actually running or not? Of actually controlling, because what the first thing he did was basically wire it directly into a Qt console, and it was just sort of a prototype hack that didn't really operate as a standalone kernel, but there shouldn't have been that much left to do. I mean, the basics were there.
Yeah, I think it. I haven't got to running the kernel yet, but I had to do some fiddling to get the basic like terminal micro REPL, as he calls it, to work, and I have now got that working, and I can kind of see what's going on with the device, and I think it should be pretty straightforward to write a little sort of, kind of similar to what we do with the bash kernel, is that it's just talking to an external process, except in this case the external process is an external device instead.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Peter and Gino are next.
All right, so I'll start. So from the side of the widgets, the main work going on there that I think it's worth noting is the PR that we put together for the IR kernel piece to add COM support has been merged. So thanks a lot to the community there for all the feedback, and it was a great experience. So that code is there. That's great. And with that code in place, now we keep making progress with adding declarative widget supports for the R kernel. I'll add a quick link on the hack pack. We have some animated GIFs where you guys can see a notebook that is basically R code and has charts and tables and interactive widgets on top of R, which is pretty exciting. So that's the main thing from my side. Peter?
Very cool, by the way.
Everything I have to say pales in comparison. So just some work on the dashboard server this week, enabling different auth mechanisms, really making sure that we can bundle up the declarative widgets and notebooks that use declarative widgets and deploy them to the standalone dashboard server. We actually spent some time getting Plotly, Bokeh, and even the existing Matplotlib, interactive Matplotlib working in the standalone dashboard server, looking at how many shims we need to put in, and there weren't that many. Actually opened some defects and submitted some simple PRs to Bokeh and Plotly to make sure that they work independent of the classic notebook server this week. That's been the primary focus. Besides that, tested the NB extension, server extension work this morning. Same experiment I did back at the beginning of February, just taking the Jupyter CMS package. It's one of the incubator extensions, which has 3 notebook server extensions, 1 server-side extension. Use the new metadata mechanism, and just worked. I tried it to the user directory, tried it to the sys prefix. Everything worked just fine, enabling, disabling, installing, uninstalling. So it's good stuff. I think that's it. Sylvan, yeah, we could do BQplot. That's cool too. We could talk about that offline. I think Carol's up next.
Okay, now I got myself unmuted, I think. So just a lot of doc stuff last week. One thing I had a question for folks on is, and I left an issue in one of the repos, I think it was Jupyter. Read the Docs has started putting ads on their pages, and they're fairly subtle ads, but I didn't know how we felt as a team on that, so I disabled them on most of our main repos for now. But if we want to go ahead and add them back in, it's not a big deal. I just felt like we should opt in versus it just happening. And putting together some onboarding stuff for the summer interns, and I think we're going to be able to use a lot of the stuff that John also did with his O'Reilly videos, some of the content about the notebooks and how it's structured and things like that, which will be nice. And I, just as a pet project, have started putting together, still in a very ugly version, but like a tool for me to use that has all the documentation stuff in one place. And I've been using it for about a week, and it actually is saving a lot of time. So I think what we want to do, and we can talk about it at the dev meeting, is sort of an integrated landing page for all the docs. And that's it.
Great, and thanks for flagging the ads issue. It seems like consensus is building that people are okay with it, but I think you're completely right. It's something that we should explicitly opt into rather than letting it happen by default. So thanks.
I guess I'm next. Thanks to Min, we now have a functional notebook in Jupyter Lab, except it doesn't scroll. That's pending a PR open right now. Otherwise, it's a functional notebook, bare bones. Been working on adding features to it. Right now, there's open PRs for changing the kernel and handling trusted notebooks, trusted cells, and in general, just adding features that are on the list of things we want to touch to get parity with the current notebook. That's it. Is Jason's next?
Jason, are you around? Jason Grout?
Yeah, he's muted for now. He's trying to unmute.
Ah, okay.
There. Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll post up in the Hackpad the GitHub issue for the list of issues that we're working through for the notebook feature parity. So love comments and discussion about any issues we might have missed or any issues you'd like to see done differently. I just continued working on the Jupyter notebook, doing some code cleanup and things, reviewing the IPyWidgets work that Dave and everybody's been doing, and fixing a notebook execution bug. So basically notebook work.
Okay, I believe I am next. So I was working on primarily on the Pull 879 on Jupyter Notebook, and been getting really good feedback there, and we're uncovering some of the corner cases. Marco Spinetta, also from Continuum, provided some support there for things with symlinks, and Carol's been helping out with the doctors. That's looking great. I want to try and get a feel for what it's going to take to get this one out the door. So anybody else that has a developer or user that has opinions about how you want to install extensions, now is the time. And I think, in all the stuff that we're doing here, we're certainly, taking away lessons as to how to move forward on doing this in 5.0, but the focus is still squarely on handling the legacy notebook stuff. I just call it the legacy notebook, I'm sorry. So still doing my Phosphor and TypeScript karate classes there, and very happy with that. I've written my first typing for Baobab.js, because the one out there, I didn't like it. So that's going pretty well. Supporting MD Present users, got some people that are doing some pretty cool stuff with it already, and so it's pretty exciting. Trying to keep abreast of what's going on MD Dime. Me and Martin are going crazy on that thing, and I still want to get back to doing some of my work on that. And I missed last week for talking with the folks over at Georgia Tech, with the guys that run the HPC clusters there. And so we're probably going to get to do some engagement with them, which will be exciting. And it'll be, mostly Jupyter focused with a bit of Anaconda. It's not a big sales thing or whatever, which is great for me. That is about it. believe the next person is Jess. You with the PhD. Okay.
I don't really have too much to say. But yeah, I've been working mostly on PhD stuff, so yeah, not anything to report this week.
I was mostly traveling, but I've been working kind of as usual, kind of in the background on these days on hiring, debt meeting, and I also have some LBL grant writing that landed on my head over this week. Not much user visible. I've been trying to pitch in on a few PRs and issues here and there as much as I can.
I think it's my turn. So I got back into doing some Jupyter work. I opened a few PRs and threadlets, and they got merged pretty quickly for bug fixes. And Min pushed version 4.2.0 and then 4.2.1 on PyPy for threadlets, which enabled us to fix some other things in IPyWidgets. And I did some further work on simplifying the Python side of IPyWidgets to reduce the amount of code by using the new API. Besides that, there has been some more work with John that is post-small split to embed widgets in other web pages. And the idea would be to add a sort of embed button in the widget area so that you get a text area that you can copy paste and put into any web page and get widgets to work. That would require us to create a CDN for Jupyter.js widgets, and that should be accessible from anywhere. With a custom widget manager that allows us to embed the state of the widgets in the page, like what we're trying to do. But yeah, we're doing good progress there. There is a PR that I opened a couple of weeks ago that is on hold for now, but it's a work on the rendering of doc strings in the notebook in the pager. Actually, it doesn't require any change in the notebook. It's just a PR in the IPython repository, since the page function allows you to send a MIME bundle rather than just text. I just need to add some HTML entry, a text HTML entry for the MIME type text HTML there. Although, the branch works. It's a working prototype, but the real work will involve changing some code in the current pinfo and pdoc magics, and that that are not really backward compatible. So I'm not really sure what I can change there, because the entire API appears as public. So from a user's viewpoint, it should be the same thing. But I don't know whether there is any client code that also uses like underlying functions that, whether I can change it or try to be backward compatible. So anyone who has some knowledge of that part of the code base in the core IPython would be welcome to. I'd love to discuss this offline.
So this you're talking about 9304, the one that Matthias just linked.
That's right. Yeah. But
Okay.
that part is, I have another branch where I have more work that I'm refactoring pinfo and pdoc, and I haven't pushed it. It's just work in progress. But I wanted to discuss with someone who knows what I can change, what is really public there, because everything appears as public in the API, and and what I can really, I can't. It has to be intrusive, and I have to change some more code than that to make it real. And
so. Okay, yeah, maybe we can talk offline about it so that we don't clog up the meeting, but maybe Thomas and I might be able to try to help a little bit on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Yeah, you're familiar with it, and I can pitch in as well if needed.
Awesome, so that's it.
And I think you're the last one. So does anybody have anything that they might have thought of during the meeting? As usual, we don't need to keep these too long. So maybe after we hang up close the recording, Thomas and Sylvan, maybe we can take a minute to look at 9304 since I'm here, and that doesn't happen very often.
I have a quick question. Anything, dev meeting starts in 2 weeks, right? Is there anything we need to do to prepare for that other than what we've already discussed?
So what I would encourage folks is to start looking at the agenda and start kind of making sure that key topics that they really want to make sure are covered or listed in the agenda. I think we're going to to have to do a little bit of planning on the first day. But if we can move around, if we can try to move around the schedule and try to find non-overlapping topics, that would be ideal, because inevitably we're going to have too many people wanting to look at the same things. So we're going to have to do some break up into parallel sessions. We have a large room and a breakout area available to us. But if we need more areas, more independent areas, that would be good to flag so that I can get the space allocated.
So one reminder, on the Tuesday, we have a meetup at BIDS. People listening on YouTube, if you want to join, you can subscribe and come on Tuesday night.
So, tell people listening, subscribe, Matthias. It would possibly be useful to tell them what to subscribe to.
To a meetup, meetup.com, you search for BIDS. We can post that in the note of the video, but there is a meeting in Berkeley at BIDS where we will have talks from people that are working on Jupyter and with Jupyter.
So, but then maybe we can end the recording and spend 5 minutes kind of looking at logistics.
Okay. Bye, Internet. I'm just stopping.